Hey, well, well, you know what today is? Today is all about me. Let's talk about me. Let's talk about Jazzy Jeff. Am I right? We're talking about Jazzy Jeff?
Today is all about Jazzy Jeff. Yes.
Okay. So welcome back to our show. This is the year of practical learning. This is YOML 145. This is part 2 of 3 of the book Will by Will Smith and Mark Manson. So and I guess we want to find your Jazzy Jeff. So let's do it.
Yeah. So this reflection was inspired by you. If you missed yesterday, the book Will is Will Smith's autobiography about his life from kind of childhood through his like rapping career, as his days with Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the TV show, to his movie career, to his life, to his kids, to kind of spans the gamut of his entire life from childhood until now. Prior to the Oscar slap, the Oscar slap was not included in his book because it had not happened yet. He had made it just before that, and
we could do another reflection afterwards and
right.
Do a part 4 of 3.
No, I'm good. Like, I mean, I'm just letting you know, like, did not cover that in his autobiography. Well,
it needs to be updated. So, I mean,
yeah, he can update his own autobiography for all I care. But that's not we don't need to worry about it here. So the book, was a great favorite of mine. And it was the first book beyond one of the top, kind of 5 or 6 that I had dedicated to write 5 reflections for. To just write freely of additional thoughts that come to mind and things I wanted to share. So the first one that we talked about was about method acting, and about being able to be the person you want to be and method acting at until you become that person, and kind of retraining your elephant. This one is all about finding your Jazzy Jeff. Let's dive in. So for all of you guys that don't know, and I don't think the True knows, have you ever heard a Will Smith, Fresh Prince, and Jazzy Jeff song before?
No, I watched the Fresh Prince. I know the guy, his friends, Jazz in the TV series.
Yes,
that's his DJ.
That's his DJ.
I don't know the backstory to Jazzy Jeff. I just know his name is Jazz, whatever he calls it.
Gotcha. Well then I'm gonna have to give a quick backstory to this whole entire thing to set it all up, right? So and I talk about it in the reflection, actually. So it's kind of in line with the same thing. Will Smith, when he was in high school, he got really into rapping. This was like the beginning of like the rap scene. This is in the early 80s. This is like when rap was like really underground for the most part, and people were making mixtapes and things like that, and hip hop was becoming a big thing. He was, in the really, really, really early stages of that culture, explosion of hip hop that kind of took over the country, in the 90s, and still is going on to today, right? Will got really into hip hop when he was early on in high school, and he started writing every day, right? He would get home and he would just write his beats and write his raps and write everything, and the guy was like obsessed. He couldn't get enough of it. Like, it was just his outlet, and it was creative. It was his meaningful work, right? He was obsessed with it. He was obsessed with writing. He was obsessed with rapping. He was obsessed with battling other people. Anywhere that he could go, he would take it. He would meet new people, and he would rap battle anybody, and then he would go home and he would write new stuff every single night. And he did this for like years and years as he kind of honed his own craft, and he just loved it. Like, that was his meaningful work, right? That was a way for him to express his values, and for whatever reason, it really aligned to him. Well, as he got better and better and better with his lyrics and his rapping ability and his battling ability, when you just go up to somebody and just start to rap battle, he started, his friend circle started to become a lot of these people that cared about the same stuff, right? Makes sense, right? When you start to do stuff that you like to do and that's meaningful to you, all of a sudden you start to develop these meaningful relationships around things of other people that care about the same kind of stuff you care about. So Will and his friends decided they wanted to start a hip hop group. So they started this group, and they were kind of popular. They would travel around a little bit, but but the rest of the other couple guys that were in the group just didn't take it as seriously as Will, and he could kind of tell. And there was a point in time when he was just like, look guys, like this isn't going to work out. Like, I mean, I care about this, and I don't think you guys care about this at the same level that I care about it. And they decided to all part ways. So Will was kind of on his own. He still really cared about this stuff. And one day he goes to a house party, and with a friend of his, and he knew this really popular DJ. His name was Jazzy Jeff, was going to be DJing this party. So he was, DJ Jazzy Jeff had his own MC. I kind of explained this a little bit to you yesterday, but I'll give you a little context of the hip hop DJ and MC kind of background back in the early days. So the DJ was really the star of the show in hip hop. DJs were the people that would go to the parties, that would go to the clubs, that would go to whatever, and they would do their turntable things, and they would, get the club hype. And, it's kind of more like an EDM almost artist these days, when you think of like the Dead Mouses and whatever. I'm not big into EDM, but those guys that like rock out like the big EDM like festivals and things like that, and they're just one DJ on a stage, like think of it on a small scale like that back in the day with hip hop DJs. So the DJs were really the star of the show, and then they would have these guys that would come on, they would call the MC, which was the rapper, who would eventually the DJ got too overwhelmed with a lot of the stuff going on, so he needed to keep the crowd kind of entertained a little bit more, and and usher in the next song, and do a little talking or whatever it may be. So that was where rappers started to come in. They would rap over the beats, they would keep the crowd entertained, they would talk to them and stuff like that, and keep the party kind of moving. That was how MCs started, right? So Will was an MC, and he had no DJ, and his team of people that weren't really as serious as him, they decided to part ways. So Will goes to this party, and he's just there as a just go to a party, and he finds out that Jazzy Jeff is the one DJ in the party, and this guy is like widely known around all of Philadelphia as like the best DJ ever, kind of thing, and he's like a savant of a DJ, right? And his DJ or his MC that he was partnered with at the time just didn't show up. He just totally no-showed him at this party, right? So he needed somebody to fill in, and Will was like, hey, I'll do it, let's do it. So Will gets up on stage and he MCs with Jazzy Jeff as he's DJing, and they just vibed incredibly well, right? Like it was just like instantaneous connection. Like they felt like they just knew each other for years, and you could just kind of tell the synergies. And when Jeff would do something, Will would play back with him, and when Will would do something, Jeff would do something with the mixing. And anyway, they had a great time that night. The party was big success, and they started a whole nother relationship with them for the rest of their life, of becoming not just now DJ Jazzy Jeff and for the Fresh Prince on one side. Now it was the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff together. They were joined at the hip, and they were now a team, right? And when that team of these two guys that were super, super, super into what they cared about, like Jeff was a savant of DJing. That's all he did all day long. He would just be in his grandmother's basement or his mother's house basement or whatever, wherever he was, and he would do nothing but DJ all day long and mix beats and stuff like that. And Will would do nothing but write all day long. And when they paired up together, these people that really cared about the meaningful work that they were creating together, like they just exploded together, right? And all of a sudden they became one of the biggest acts in hip hop. When they were like 18 years old, they started to take the world by storm, the hip hop world, and burst onto the scene. And now they're all of a sudden they're doing shows all over the world, and became this huge hip hop duo, right? So that's the backstory of finding your DJ Jazzy Jeff, right? So all this leads me to think of True, right? So this is. Are you starting to follow along with where I'm going with this?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So this all made me think of, as I was hearing this story, it just the dots started connecting in my head of like, man, like it's so cool to be able to care about stuff that you really care about, and it feels good, right? Like when Will was writing every day and rapping, and all that great stuff, it was great. But it's never the same unless you have somebody to do it with, right? Like, and when you find that other person that cares about it as much, or other people that care about it as much, like then it just becomes explosive, right? And then you can do it for 145 episodes of podcasts. You don't even know what you guys talk about half the damn time. can write, 2 books in 2.5 years. You can read 300 books, and and you can do all this crazy shit together, that you never really expected, because you have that running mate, right? Like somebody that really cares about it and gets it. And it made me think about meaningful work and meaningful relationships. This is what we care about. This is what we're all about. And when you have that meaningful relationship to tie it all together, it just makes everything more meaningful, right? And it makes everything more valuable, and it makes your values come to life even more, and it makes it more fun, and it makes it matter more. I mean, you always say, if you had $1 trillion, or whatever you're saying, whatever your truism is about, if you had $1 trillion and never got to spend it, or nobody ever saw it, like, who cares? Like it's kind of a similar sentiment, right? Like,
Right.
until you can find other people that really care about what you really care about deep down, and care about it to the same level that you care about it as, then you're kind of just on your own, and life sucks on your own, this is what this whole story made me think about when I was listening to this book, and just how their careers took off together. They've been lifelong friends together. They've worked together and collaborated together for forever. Will took him on to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was that guy that always get thrown out of the house on the Fresh Prince, his buddy Jeff. You know what I'm talking about, when the uncle would always throw his buddy out of the house, and that was DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Right.
And they've always still collaborate to this day, and they've been lifelong friends together, and took each other to heights they never imagined, right? And so that's the reflection for the day. It's life doesn't really matter until you can find your Jazzy Jeff. I mean, like, meaningful work is one thing, but meaningful relationships take it to a whole nother level. So anyway, that's the thought. I'll pause there, and ask the question is, I know who your DJ Jazzy Jeff is, hopefully. On the other end, it goes both ways, but
of course. I mean, I think that comes, the thought that comes to my mind is, in life, there's a lot of different kind of games, or different kind of style or life do you play. And it reminds me of a game of seesaw. Imagine you love to play seesaw, but you're the only one out there.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's so much fun, right?
Right.
And so you have to find somebody who loves the seesaw as much as you do. And life is a wicked environment. I mean, and we talk about wicked environment before. It's so unpredictable that we can't really understand the rule of it itself. And a lot of times, it takes more than one person to play the game. And so
always,
if you think your life is like a seesaw or something similar to that, with more than one person needed to play, a team to play, you definitely cannot do this alone. You cannot go alone at all. I mean, it just doesn't work, regardless how meaningful your work is, because it isn't meaningful work unless you have a complete team, whether that's a 2-person seesaw team,
100 people, 5,000, 1 million people,
11 player football team.
Right.
You know what I mean? So without the whole team, it isn't complete. And when it isn't complete, it's just not as fun. It's just not as optimal in terms of your meaningful work that you think that you have. I mean, imagine if I love to play football. I do. I love everything football, and but if I play by myself, who can I pass the ball to?
Yeah,
right.
No, you're right.
Right. Who's gonna tackle me when I'm running the ball down the field or down the hill, whatever? Who's gonna block me? How can I improve if I'm the only one that's running? There's no one there to make an obstacle for me to figure out how to improve myself.
Yep.
So in life, it's like many of these games. It's very complex and very fluid. And if you think if your life is like that, then you definitely need to find your Jazzy Jeff. It's the counterpart to make your team complete. Whoever you think your team, your life as a team is, that's the teammates that you need to find. You have to find the team to complete the whole.
The happiness hypothesis, right?
Exactly.
Like yeah. I mean, you have to have them both. Like the happiness hypothesis, you can't only have one. Like, it's funny. So we were talking to our club buddy and member Cole last night, and he's
Mhm.
trying to start a tech company, and he's been working on it for the past couple of years. And you know, like the irony of all ironies is he you know, he's learning the lesson of like it's really hard to have a co-founder that's aligned to what you want to do. You might
It's
get
extremely
along.
difficult, right?
It's
And
it's
we
really
talked
hard.
about that. We talked about that yesterday. It's extremely difficult because it's hard to find somebody who want to be on the same team and think of see the team as what you see.
Yeah.
A lot of times they see a different type of team or kind of teams or how the teams work and all that. And so it's difficult to find the right people that say, hey, because if you find somebody and say, hey, you know, I'm playing a quarterback, right? If you're playing quarterback, I need a guard, I need a left tackle, right? I need a right tackle, I need a center. Well, those guys have different roles to play. They don't want to pass the ball, right? They don't want to hold the ball. They just want to block
They gotta
the
be
defenders.
they gotta be a beaver, and they must damn.
They must stand,
whatever.
right? Exactly. I mean, you can't expect, you know, a fox or a turtle to be to make dams. It just
Right.
don't do that. I mean, fish don't dam either. And
Right.
so you have to understand that you got to find the people who knows themselves. That's first and foremost.
Yeah, I
It's,
agree.
what do you do? I mean, you're talking about Jazzy Jeff. I mean,
He knew himself.
you talk of him as is this guy. He has a personality. He embraced that personality as this great savant DJ. He is that guy, and he's
Yeah.
known for that. So the first thing you have to be able to understand is understand what it is that you personify, who you want to method act into. And I think with Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith, they found their I guess their personality or their role.
Yeah,
because,
for sure. Yeah,
because you're talking about Will Smith, right? He's obsessed with writing hip hop and drop and rap music, rap lyrics and
lyrics,
whatnot.
yeah.
Jazzy Jeff wants to do the turntable things and he's DJing stuff. They both know what they want, and because they in the team of the music, in the team of the audience engagement, you need a Jazzy Jeff and a Will Smith, you need a DJ and an MC.
Yep.
You know, so that's a team. On a football team, you need a quarterback, you need a left tackle, you need right tackle, a left guard, right guard, a center, wide receiver, you know, halfback, all those, right? So you need all those players to be on your team that plays their role and they know their role and they perform their role at the best. Because if a left tackle does his best, right, then the quarterback's protected. The quarterback can do better work by being able to scan down the field and deliver the ball to the wide receivers where it needs to be. But if the left tackle don't do the great work of a left tackle, right, that boy can get sacked, right? And he's not gonna be able to do anything. So you think about it, a football team, the only way for them to win, for only way for them to have meaningful work and having fun at playing football is the left tackle does his job, the quarterback does his job. Because if the team wins and the quarterback delivers the ball to the wide receiver and the wide receiver goes to the end zone, right? It's a whole team that score, because the left tackle is just as important, and sometimes just as important or even more important, depending on how you see it, than the quarterback himself. Even if the quarterback gets the views and the attention, but at the same time, without the work of the left tackle, the left guard and the center protecting him and whatnot, the offensive line, you won't be able to deliver the ball at all. And you won't.
Like I think they should stop calling people role players in the NFL and the NBA. I think that word's a bad word. I think they should call them purpose players. Like guys like Draymond Green and guys like, you know, like you're talking about, like a great left tackle, people that have a purpose for that role. I don't know why that is, but like Draymond Green is the best fit ever on the Golden State Warriors. I bet if you put him on, I don't know, at least 20 other teams in the NBA, he probably wouldn't even have made a roster. You know, he's not like the most talented player, but for whatever reason, what he cares about most is what that team needs most. And that's his purpose. He gets to live his purpose, and he makes everybody around him better, and he gets better from it as well.
Right, and that goes back to say be my damn, and you can't ding. So you can't really try to be everything all at once, right? If you're a beaver, then you just, do your damn.
Right. Let the wolf do the wolf stuff, right? Like that's fine. But like the
Exactly.
wolf can't do the wolf stuff until you dam up that river and get the deers to come down there and let the wolf go hunt, like
Yeah, you
but
can't.
if you don't do what your purpose is, then nobody else can go do what their purpose is. So if I don't
And
do
the
what
thing
I'm
is, who's better to build dams than beavers? You think about it.
not a wolf. I
Who's
mean, I
better
don't
to
want
hunt than the
to
wolves?
right. I don't not the beaver.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying is, the first thing you have to figure out is who you are,
Right.
right? So I am black. Find out that, right? I am Jazzy Jeff. I am, Will Smith. I am the quarterback. I am the left tackle. I am the, this center,
Yeah. What's your purpose?
right? I'm the point guard or whatever. Find your role and find
Purpose.
the people. Pretty much, right? Yeah. I mean, talking about beaver. I mean,
Right.
I'm asking you, if you're a beaver, what do you do?
Yeah.
You're gonna go to the bar and have a couple of drinks? No, beaver dams, right? Whether you call that a purpose or who you are, right? If you say I'm a painter, right? That's a purpose. I mean, if
Right.
you're a painter, right? Why are you a painter? You don't become a painter because you happen to paint, right? You are a painter because that's what brings meaningful
Fuels you.
to you.
It brings
It
the
fuels
energy.
you.
Yeah.
It
Right.
energizes you. That's why you call it for a painter. A person who paints isn't a painter.
Yep.
Is that
No, I agree. I was thinking about this.
It sounds confusing, but
This is a fun point because I was actually just writing about this on my own personal journal the other day. I haven't made a reflection out of this, but so this is kind of fresh off the noggin, right? Like, but like I was thinking about the difference between a leader and an organizer of activities, because my new role is I'm technically a leader, but you're not really a leader. Everybody's a leader.
I mean,
if
give
they do
somebody
what they
a title doesn't make that person a leader.
say.
A person who's a leader leads, whether they have a title or not.
They do what they say they're gonna do, right? Like that's what a leader is. And you could be a leader as an individual contributor. What that beaver that dams is a leader, because that beaver is doing what the beaver said it's gonna do, and he holds himself accountable to.
No, beaver is a beaver, a leader is a leader, a painter is a painter.
Well, no, hang on,
right? It's a painter in the essence of what he does and the action he performs, and not what he pretends to be. Let's say a beaver dam, but he doesn't do any good, right? And he'll do it once or twice.
Right.
Doesn't make him a beaver.
I agree. I mean, you gotta love damming. Like it's a so
it's the essence.
Yes.
It's the essence of the purpose that makes you that role, whatever that characteristic is. It's the essence of it. You can say, well, can a baby be a painter? Sure. So if I'm 43 years old and I painted like for the last 10 years, but I don't like it, am I a painter? If a baby has painted for for 3 months and he loves it and that's what he does every day and that's what I do, is he a painter? He's a painter. In my mind, in my definition, he's a painter. I'm not a painter. Andre Agassi can play tennis all his life. And if you don't enjoy it, he's not a tennis player.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I totally agree. Actually, there was a book I just read, Lynchpin. He talked about this of the most artists, painters per capita, the paint art is in somewhere in China, where they take a print and they just replicate it. They literally paint it. They are very good at what they do, but they are not artists. They are not painters. Like they are just replicators of something. They come to work every single day. They take their paintbrush out and they do what they're supposed to do so they can make a print copy to be able to send somewhere else, right? That's what you're talking about. That is not a painter. Like that is not, if they don't love what they do every single day and they don't love that, they're just,
if you're not obsessed with it, because you think about it, if you have something that, I'm talking about an itch yesterday, right? You have to find somebody who has an itch that needs to scratch his own itch, right? However it works, when you have an itch, there's an urge to scratch it. There's an urge to scratch that itch. And when you scratch it, right, it feels good. I don't know, the relief of the itch feels so good. And so as a person with a purpose, it's like having an itch. And it's not gonna be say, oh, I'm going to scratch only for, 2 iterations or 5 iterations or whatever, then I'll stop. Right? It's not about I'm going to scratch until I feel the itch there no more. If there's an itch, I'm always going to scratch. I'm going to scratch it constantly. I'm going to be obsessed with scratching it.
Yeah.
You think about it. If there's an itch and you scratch and it still gives you the satisfaction of that itch, right? You're going to be anal about scratching that thing.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like having an obsession. You will be obsessed.
It's an addiction. I mean, when you have a purpose, it's an addiction. I mean, like
it is. I mean,
it's a good addiction.
You have something that basically is your calling. You will be addicted to it. You essentially, that's all you do, all day, every minute of the hour.
100%. I mean, that's what Jazzy Jeff literally was in his basement all day long mixing and like all day. I mean, that's what Will talked about in the book. He was like, this guy was insane. Like he never left the freaking house. He just would be in his basement all day long. You know, he would like, I mean, it was you always knew where to find him. Like he was always down in his lab, like making beats. And that's what he did. And Will was always
the big difference is that when you go talk to him and you're trying to pry him away from it, he doesn't want to.
He doesn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to.
It's not like he's forced to, like the people in China is forced to go work for whatever it is, right?
Right.
And say, hey, I'm working 16 hours a day, and I spend all days in the basement. What the big difference is that it is
he loved it.
He's willing to do that because he wants it for himself. No one is putting a gun to his head and put him down in the basement.
He loved it.
And that's the big difference.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not about what you do every day, it's about how do you feel about what you do every day.
And that this is the roundabout way of the reflection is like when you find that other person, you're right. You have to know what you care about to the level of it's an addiction. I don't want to call it an addiction, but to the level of a good purpose-driven life, right? Like, like once you.
I don't know if for me it has to be an obsession or addiction. If you don't, then it's not who you.
No, I agree.
Because the thing is, if you are meant for whatever that role, you will yearn for it, whatever it is, right? If you say, hey, I want to be a musician, I want to be a tennis player, I want to be whatever, you will yearn for it. You will keep watching it. You will be obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you watch it all the time. Like you sleep with it, you eat while watching it, you do everything about constantly. It's 24/7, top of mind about whatever it is you want to do, whether you're a tennis player, a football player, a football fan, or whatever it is. Like for me, is I can say I'm quite obsessed with football, right?
Sure.
I mean, I get to the point where in the my single days, right? I know everybody on every team and where they go, when they get drafted, and then what kind of stats they have. I even know the salary. I even know the rookie contract. I would know how much they weigh, how much they lose. Man, this is obsessions, right? And this is something that's not like, for me, when you think about the other thing I've done, right? It's like these are like a game for me. It's like the enjoyment, the happy memory. It's not like, oh, it's drudge memory of how to learn all this stuff. This is I learned by I volunteered to want to know about these trivial facts about all the players and how to play and what they did and how good they are and how. I mean, when I watch football, for example, I not only watch the game itself, I watch the player and how he played. Like I said, I watch the center, how he hiked the ball and how he blocks. I watch the left tackle. I watch the safety, right? The strong safety versus the free safety. I see how he sneaks up and know each position because strong safety, right? Strong safety. How can you be strong safety? Right. Strong safety is so you can also do coverage, but you also need to also stop the run. So sometimes depending on what he does, right? He's like the hunter, right? He gonna see if the quarterback going to like react in a certain way when he does something, and he gonna read the quarterback and whether he want to do a read of a run or read a pass. When a read pass, he will pull back and we'll do coverage, right? And so you watch this guy, and then you also watch the corner, right? How the corner does it. The corner sometimes he won't go directly and look at the guy, but he would turn his face halfway like this. He watch the other side of the field while putting his peripheral vision on the receiver. Who watch football like that? Not very many, right?
Not a lot. Yeah. I mean,
right?
you're looking at more intricacies, which you care about. Like, and I mean,
there's a fun part. I mean,
yeah.
If you're not obsessed with it, there's no way you can go to that level and still have the excitement of a football game. You just don't.
I agree. I mean, I'm the same way with when I watch tennis or any the sport like that as well. I mean, when I'm watching the U.S. Open, I'm watching how their feet work, how their footwork.
Yeah, you're watching how their feet move and where the toe is pointing, right? It's like
right.
No one watches those details unless you're obsessed with it. So that's what I'm saying is, forgive me, but addiction, right? Addiction and obsession is a word I would use.
That's fair. I mean, no, I don't disagree. The only reason I struggle to say that word is because it has a negative connotation in this world. I agree. Addiction is not a bad thing. We'll talk about that with Dopamine Nation and the Molecule more coming up in the future, you know, getting addicted to your values, which is exactly what you're talking about. Like, get addicted to the stuff that you really care about the most, right? And that'll lead you to where you want to go. But the fun part about this whole conversation is that's step one, right? Step two, though, that's only step one. Like, step two is you got to go find the other people that care just as much as you care about stuff. And then when you unite that together, then it's like, you know, like it's explosive, right? Like, it's like Cole, we're talking to Cole last night, and he's looking at us and he's going, man, you two are like the dream team of a partnership, you know? And I'm like, in a lot of ways, he's right. But we haven't created shit about the stuff that we really started to care about, like the stuff that we originally connected about and we wanted to talk about. Like, we haven't done any of that. Like, but that's okay, because we both know that we are both passionate about living a balanced life and finding meaningful work and meaningful.
This is what we do, though.
Others to do it. Right.
This is what we do. I mean, it's not, to me, the reason why I joined up with you in the first place, and the reason why you resonate with me more in the first place, is the fact of you sold me a vision. You say, hey, you know, when we get to this point, we want to build a company like this. This is a company I want. I want to have a company where we come in, we have like, you know, we get a siesta during the middle of the day. No one gets fired ever.
We treat people like humans. We it's a human-centric a company.
Yeah. So you told me that vision, and we're living that vision. Yes. So the thing is, it is what we do. We are doing the vision, the dream. So it's not about. So I think a lot of people go into business in the reverse, because
they focus on the what.
And it's not like I'm immune from it either, because when I first come in, right, I want the vision. Right. But I have to do the business first to get the visions. But I joined because of the vision, not because of the business. Does that make sense? And so I think, you know what, so we basically get to the point where I say, well, in order for us to create this great company, we need to build this culture. And this culture is how company came about. We need to build a company to have the people that we knows themselves, have a purpose, and is obsessed with what they do, and use that and say, okay, you belong on this team. This team needs these kind of players, right, in this business venture. And so this is what we do. And I think we are doing that now. We first understand, and then we understand how we can articulate the values and the lesson we learn, and then we basically, and you're doing it now with your new job. Yeah. Of articulating this vision to your teams, and these guys is going to find that purpose, and when they find that purpose, they're going to, whatever role they're in, they're going to excel in it than anyone, because they understand how to be themselves and how to utilize the work they do.
Bring their art to the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? Like, so we've joked in the past, we've called ourselves cultural artisans, right? Like, I mean, that's really what it is. Like, we really care about that. We really care about setting the stage for ourselves first and foremost, but then, you know, for other people, to help them to be able to bring their meaningful work out of them and their art out of them, right? So we can all connect it all together and to, like you said, create that team, you know, and like, that was what we really cared about. We didn't really give a shit about what that we built. We both have personal unique skills that we bring to the table. Sure, someday we'll connect those dots and we'll do something really cool, right? Like, and we've already been doing really cool stuff anyway, but it'll be other really cool stuff that we do with our unique
I mean, I
skills.
think this stuff we're doing is really cool.
I agree. I mean, like,
right now, right? I mean, like I say, I'm living that vision, and
I agree.
however you think it is, but I think it's tremendously helpful in terms of, because you have to have first things first. You cannot build a great team unless you have a great players, and you cannot have great players unless you have a player who knows himself. So you have to. This is how we train ourselves. You think about it. You have read how many books? 300, 400 books.
No,
right?
not 400, but like let's say,
But I'm saying,
let's say like 270, 250, something like that.
270.
Yeah.
Who can say they have read 270 books? And with the guy who read 270 books, not only that he read the books, but understand what it is and took out the lesson that he learned from it and do a podcast and understand even more of it. How can that guy not be a person of resource when you partner up with that guy to build anything? Because he is well-rounded in terms of all the things he knows and all the things he can apply and all the things he has endured through to get to where he is. He's basically a Swiss Army knife. And so you have that guy is going to be able to handle any situation that arises in when the company is formed, and the company will have issues. And this is what it's about. It's not about company not having issues. It's about how do you handle them when it comes up. And so how do you find a person who can handle that, who can be versatile? Having a versatile person in a business is going to be it's a game changer for that business. And that's what we do. You cannot have a good team unless you have a good individual. And
range.
This is what we do now.
You mean range? you mean a rangy person? Is that what the word you're trying to look for?
Not particularly rangy, but I'm just saying,
I'm joking.
Adaptable, flexible, versatile, right?
Rangy.
Not an act in two different roles. Can absorb things, can deflect things. Flexible. Yeah. That kind of a player. I mean, I would say that's an A++ player. And
I mean,
if you think about it, if you have gone through these and you have seen all the things you've seen, you have put into practice so many different hundreds of years of experience from these writer, kind of distill the information to your head, and you absorbing it. You're absorbing all of these massive number of years of experience from all these writers. I'm talking about like Daniel Kahneman, talking about Nicholas Taleb, talking about Stephen Covey, right? All these great authors who spend like their whole entire life, 40, 50 years, right? And I'm talking about, these are like 3 books I mentioned, and that is over 100 years worth of experience distilled into your head. And for us to use it and apply and take that and apply and fend off any kind of situations, any kind of obstacle that comes along in the business. When you have that guy, those 2 guys that knows their role, build a business, is a dream team. And a dream team will make things happen.
I couldn't agree. I mean, I highlighted it on here. I wrote this in the reflection, thank God for true. I mean, I truly believe that Amelia, I've always told you, like, one of the reflections we'll talk about in the future is the Lion Tracker's Guide to Life, right? And the way that I've always seen Amelia these days, the way that I perceive her now is she's this little lion, that I'm chasing through the safari, basically, and tracking her tracks and trying to chase her, right? Because she's my hero. And I feel like she leaves these little tiny values all over the place for me to go pick up and keep following on with the journey. I don't know where we're going, but I know she leaves me these little tiny clues of values to go follow, right? Well, I know for a fact that was one of those things that I was following led me to this conversation with you that led us to this whole entire journey. And I'm so thankful that you've been on this journey with me, because I don't know that I could have done that. And I know that Amelia made sure that that was the case, because I think she's got some grand plan that I don't know.
Right.
She's
And the
smart,
beauty
but
of it is, you're thankful for me and I'm thankful for you. It's just like Jazzy Jeff cannot exist without Will.
I agree.
It takes two to play the seesaw.
Exactly. I mean, you're totally right. I mean, that's why I wrote this reflection. I said it's all kind of about true, because it's irrelevant what I do by myself. Like, I mean, I just keep thinking about Cole, and I keep thinking about, when I was Cole's age, how many things that I did on my own. And I was like, I literally said, I don't need other people. Like exactly what he told us last night. And I, and this is a lesson that he's going to have to learn, but like going with vendors and other things to make sure that you can, strategically line. Yeah, you might achieve some commercial success, but you're never going to, like, it doesn't matter if you don't have that, it just doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it doesn't make it as fun or as meaningful. It doesn't fulfill the happiness hypothesis if you don't have that meaningful relationship to tie to that meaningful work. The work can be meaningful, but if you don't have somebody else to do it with, or other people,
no meaningful relationship. It's meaningful work and a meaningful relationship.
Exactly. I mean, it matters. Like it matters more than it's just as important as the meaningful work. I mean, just because you love something and you can do it every single day, if you don't have somebody else to do it with.
Yeah, in life, there's not too many solo games. I'm just saying.
Right. There's none. There is none. What made me, besides maybe like kind environments like chess or something like that. Sure. Maybe you can, just be
even in chess, you need an opponent.
That's true. Yeah. What is a solo game? Even a kind game. Yeah. Golf, maybe golf.
No, even you play golf by yourself, it's still not fun. I mean, half the fun is playing with the people trying to be better than them in how much you swing. You can go out to the golf course and practice you swing all day. It's just not as fun as going out there and having
competing,
playing with somebody. It's like I say, most of life's games, 99.9% of it, it's multiplayer.
It is. I mean, you have to have somebody else with you, and if you're not doing it, then you need to go find your Jazzy Jeff. I think is the sentiment that I wanted to get across in this reflection. One of the things I think I accidentally passed over this in the reflection. I was like, man, think about all the books that we've already read on this journey that we've got up to this point in time of all the great Jazzy Jeffs and Will Smiths. So Carl Bosch and Fritz Haber with the alchemy of air, where they condensed. Well, no, that wasn't the alchemy of air. It was it was the alchemy of air, where they can did the Fritz Haber or the Bosch Haber method to turn fixed nitrogen into fertilizer, or Patti Smith and Robert Mapplethorpe with Just Kids and how they connected together and were able to bring out the best in each other as they went along, and Santiago and the Alchemist, how they helped each other along their journey, and Scott Harrison and his wife in the book Thirst, as they connected, they really enhanced each other and kept each other on the same path. And Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf, like as they connected, that was when he found his why, that was able to play tennis. Him and Hall, I joked around with the book Who Moved My Cheese. If they didn't have those two people together, like it wouldn't have, who cares? Like they just would have died by themselves in a room without any cheese, or like who gives a shit? Or Maria Konnikova and Eric Seidel and the Biggest Bluff, teaching each other how to help bring the best out of each other, and then you got Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff, and I could go on and on with all the different pairings throughout this entire journey of stories, of human stories, over and over and over and over and over again. It's the same message over and over again. You can't do it alone. Like you just can't. Like that's not life.
It's not a single player game. I mean, life isn't a single player game. So I mean, you gotta find the team and make it complete. If you don't, then you can't play.
No, it's no fun. And not only can you not play, it's no fun. That was kind of my last message for the day. Any other final thoughts?
Yeah, go find your Jazzy Jeff.
There you go. See, do you get it now? Do you get what I was writing about?
Yeah, I know what you're writing about. I just don't know who Jazzy Jeff is, right? Which is fine, right? The thing is, all matters to me is, I know the Jazzy Jeff versions in our life, in our company, in our company.
We're both Jazzy Jeff and we're both Will Smith. Like, I mean, it's one and the same. But But yeah, no, I agree. Go find your Jazzy Jeff. You don't have one, go find one. And then find another, and then find another, and then find another, and then man, you put together a culture around that stuff, and like then you got something. Then you're cooking with grease, right?
Mhm.
So keep rocking and rolling, everyone, and
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. And we will see you tomorrow for the exciting, dramatic conclusion of part 3 of
Finale.
Will.
All right. Sounds like a plan.